Hello and welcome to another edition of Fours and Sixes with me, Swaroop Swaminathan. In today's episode, we'll be talking a bit different. We'll be going a bit off, not really off topic, but it's topic that we haven't really spoken here so far. With me to talk about the sort of next generation of Indian captains is Gomesh. Hello Gomesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's something that I believe is topical in the sense that Rohit Sharma is on the wrong side of 30 without Kohli obviously been there, done that, wrong side of 30. Rohit struggling a bit with Mumbai Indians. Before we get on with the show, I have to stress that Rohit will Rohit will of course captain the Indian side at the World T20, but just looking after Rohit, who do you think are the captains that has caught your attention the most among the 6 to 7 Indians who are doing that role in this edition of the IPL?
With 10 teams, we obviously would expect more Indian captains to come through, given the fact that Jadeja started the season as CSK's captain. But
we can safely rule out, I think, Jadeja as a future Indian captain.
Yes, that's true, and also the fact that unlike the last 2-3 years, there were more Indian captains than this year, with a couple of teams opting for overseas captains, with especially Virat Kohli stepping down. But some of them have done really well. For example, Samson has done really well. Hardik Pandya surprisingly has done really well because it is a coaching staff and it is a franchise that, despite the good team, we weren't sure how the captaincy is going to be, but surprisingly has done really well. But questions hang over someone like Shreyas Iyer or someone like Rishabh Pant. KL started off a bit off, but then I think they have come around as well with their tactics. But overall, I think it's very hard to look past these 3 or 4 5 people. Obviously, Mayank is there, but the kind of campaign they have been having, it's very hard to bring him into the contention.
I think we can safely rule out Mayank, maybe even Samson and maybe Shreyas. All three you can rule them out because they're not really sure of their spots in the white ball scheme of things. So
it's not just about the spots, right? If you look at the auction, Shreyas Iyer was a captaincy buy. They spent more than 10 crores, almost 15 crores in between. More in the double digits they spent on him just because of the captaincy that he showed in Delhi Capitals. Not to say that Delhi has done really well this season, but it seems like the touch has gone off from what it was in Delhi, because although Shreyas is the captain on the field with Ricky Ponting at the helm, we know that a lot of thing is data driven, and with the way we have seen him speak in the videos that come out of the Delhi Capitals YouTube channels and social media handles, we know how much he's involved in the scheme of things. And it seems like without that kind of an involvement, obviously Baz is there is no doubt, but still Shreyas is struggling, and some of the they haven't had a settled 11, especially the fact that Venkatesh Iyer and Ajinkya Rahane opening the batting, and the top order hasn't really fired well. I think the fact that team hasn't done really well hasn't helped him. But even otherwise, I think he has felt he's not as assured as a captain on the field as someone like Hardik Pandya has shown this season.
In a hypothetical scenario, if Rohit were asked to step aside by the BCCI even before the T20 World Cup, do you think it would come down to Rahul versus Pant versus Hardik? Considering the other three we don't even know if they will go to Australia in the first place.
For starters, we should explain that it will not happen.
Yeah.
But
we do not have any inside info. Dead sure that Rohit, injuries notwithstanding, will be captain of the Indian team in Australia.
Including the fact that he has been handed over the job for this particular reason. So just looking past, if someone has to take over the mantle, for example, like someone has to deputy him, and if he had to miss a game, then in all likelihood it is likely to be KL Rahul, I think, given the fact that he's been amongst the runs and he is scoring at a much better strike rate than he is in the last couple of seasons, and they are winning. They are the second in the points table, and he became the test captain as well, so in all likelihood it will be KL Rahul. But it will come down to the 3 candidates that you mentioned, because that apart, there are very hardly who has a secured place in the T20 11 at this point in time.
Moving aside, let's talk about a bit, staying on in the captaincy debate. after the 2023 World Cup, do you think it will still be those three?
We never know. 1.5 years is still a long time, but I think it would be probably between Rahul.
And do you think Bumrah may come in the scheme of things?
Surely he should. Ideally, they might look at Ishan Kishan in Mumbai Indians as the next successor, given that he has been under-19 captain and all that. But Bumrah might and probably should come into play. But it is also comes. What also comes into fact is that the number of the games that play, and with this workload, they might potentially look at him as in tests, which could be something that will be refreshing to see going forward. But like what we see with Pat Cummins right now in Test cricket. But in limited overs, I think it will still be these 3-4 players. But I think in all likelihood it will come down between these 3 players, especially. At this point, if we have to say, it will be between KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant, given the fact that these are the 2 names that have been discussed with respect to vice captaincy in limited overs format since Rohit took over the captaincy. Hardik might come into play given the fact that he is a bit younger than KL Rahul and he is 28 and there's still a long way to go, but it all depends on how much his fitness hails him and how consistently he's been performing in the international level. So that's there, but we never know with once this old guards fall away, if Rahul Dravid, the head coach, gets full control of the team and wants to build a team in a certain way, we'll never know if there is an odd choice out of the bags. Say someone like Prithvi Shaw or say Ishan Kishan even.
Has Sanju Samson's brand of captaincy appealed to you?
It is because, and what's interesting about him is that his style is very similar to someone like mine. Both of them are very open about the way they want to play the game, the way they want to lead the team. But the good thing for Samson is that he's been performing. I mean, the numbers, one look at the numbers, it doesn't really tell the full story. If you put into context with how other Indian batters are playing the role that he is playing, you'll know that he's standout. And the review that he took the other day, just to make a point
to
to the umpires. I mean,
funny, yeah.
As much as umpires call is the final thing, there is no argument about it. But just to show his dissent in a way that's democratic on the field, than just walking into the ground.
He wouldn't lose any match fee, but it still kind of makes a point.
Yeah, than walking into the ground like it happened in the other games. Yeah, it's very interesting, but it also depends on, like I said, if Rahul Dravid gets full control.
Is the Indian team ready to have somebody like a Samson at number 3?
They should be, but I don't think up until 2023 World Cup they are. Because it's just the same as what happened in 2007-8. The old guards need to go out to have a fresh look on the team with the kind of brand they want to build going forward. They might have to do some adjustments in the middle order, but that said, overall, reformation will happen only after the 2023 World Cup, and even by then he'll be just 29. So
interesting. That's all for another edition of Fours and Sixes. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Stay safe.